Hi, Grace. Where are you? I need to find you.
Can you see me?
Wait.
No.
Wait. I need to highlight you. Wait. Yes, this is Dr. Grace.
Can you see me?
Yes, we can see you clearly. Spotlight
I see
video.
everybody now.
Okay, so this is Dr. Grace. Hi, Dr. Grace.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Dr. Grace.
Morning, Dr. Grace.
Hi, Doctor.
Good morning.
Morning.
Morning, Doctor.
Morning.
Morning.
Siti, I don't think I can share my screen.
Pardon?
I think you have to make me the host of the meeting to be able to share my screen.
Okay, I'll make host, yes.
Still can't see.
Can
Oh,
you,
yeah.
can you see?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so
You want me to start?
let me introduce yourself first.
Okay.
Okay, hi everyone. Okay, we are already, can we start early? Because, okay, so I think everyone is here. Okay, Grace,
Yes.
before I start, okay, good morning to Grace, okay, our invited speaker from University of Technology, Sydney, Faculty of Law, and then to all my students these are final year students, they are from professional years at the University Technology Mara. For your information, Grace, to be called to the bar as a practicing lawyer, okay, students need to undergo professional years. So UiTM, our university, is one of the university which provide professional years for the students. And our program is actually 4 years program. And the language used, the formal language used in UiTM is actually in English. So all students need to speak in English. This is, and then together with us today, I have 2 classes here, 7B and also 7F. And also we have another lecturers who are teaching insolvency law in Malaysia and also remedies, Madam Jannah, and also we have another lecturer from language faculty, Miss Nadia. She is actually the pioneer of this global learning. We call this global learning. And yes, I hope the student will benefit from your sharing session after this. And I've been informed by Isabel that you will conduct online game, right, after this with the students?
That's right. That's right.
They are hoping to get a free flight ticket to Sydney.
It probably, the price won't be as significant as a free flight, but it's certainly going to be some award to be given out at the end of this session.
Okay, that's great, Grace. Okay, before we start, let me introduce Dr. Grace. Dr. Grace is an associate professor for international affairs at the UTS Law Faculty. UTS is one of the top ranking university in Australia and in the world. And UTS Law Faculty is actually one of the best 10, correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Grace, one of the best 10 faculty of law in Australia. So Dr. Grace completed her LLB, LLM, and PhD of law in Australia. And her research is in telecommunication policy and also corporate law. She's involved in internationalizations for many years. She has vast experiences in internationalization. And so without further ado, so we can start, Dr. Grace, with the student, your session with the student. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Siti, for your very kind introduction. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this morning session. I'm quite excited to share with you a few topics that Siti suggested that might bring some benefit to your study and future career choice. So let me start with my presentation by sharing my screen with you now. All right. Host disabled participant screen sharing. Siti, you have to enable me to share the screen.
Okay.
So I can't do screen sharing
Yes,
now.
I already enable you.
Yes, that's right. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes, Doctor.
Great, thank you very much. All right. Oh. Okay, so as you know, as we all know, that we're living in an era where technology has brought so much interruption to our way of living, to everything we're experiencing, to our study, to our life, to our way of communicating with others. Every single part of our life has been changed by the modern technology in the past decade. Law, as you would know by now, you're in the last year of your study in law. Law, as you would know, is a service provision industry. At the end of the day, we're here to provide legal services to people who need. As a service provider, law is interrupted. The way of providing this service is interrupted by the modern technology as well. As you can see on this screen, that change was in the air. People start to feel a bit unsure about what the future will look like, what the future of law will provide them in terms of career options, what the legal industry, what the education in law should be looking like when there is modern technology being brought in this broader picture. That's not only the concern of a group of people, that's a concern of the entire human race in a way. So people start to ask all sorts of questions. Things like, how do we deal with an internet-related legal dispute? Because those things were not existed prior to the modern technology. People start even to asking things about, do we need a human lawyer anymore? With the AI technology developing, maybe we can get a robot to work as the court judge and lawyers. Do we still need human lawyers anymore? There are a whole list of questions like this has been asked publicly. So as a leading law faculty in Australia and in the world, my faculty has already started a journey to find the answer for this. In fact, in 2015 to 2017, UTS law faculty, UTS is University of Technology, Sydney. So we are very advanced in information technology, modern technology already. So we lead this journey as a public inquiry. We call it public lecture series. The topic of the public lecture series is called Future of the Legal Profession series. In this series, we invited people from the IT industry. We invited people from the legal practice, solicitors and barristers. We invited judges. We invite law professors. We invite every single stakeholder in this law faculty, in the legal industry, to sit down together and talk about what the future of legal profession would be with the interruption of the modern technology. And this series has been ran for 3 years, from 2015 to 2017. The very question that we asked again and again is what the legal future will look like, what the profession will look like, what the industry will look like, how as a leading law school we can better educate our law student to be able to work in the future profession. So these are the questions has been asked and answered during this 3 years period. People start to realize that, especially lawyers who don't traditionally have IT as part of their background, they started to realize that technology has brought unprecedented disruption to the law industry. Every part of the industry will need to adapt into the new way, working with the technology, working with the support provided by the technology, and working to solve the technological related problems and disputes. In fact, as you would know, people start to call this modern technology interruption as a fourth industry. I'm very sorry to tell you that even after 3 years of attempt trying to find the answers for things like what the future will look like, we still can't reach a conclusion. So I put it out here, big and bold. Even as a legal educator, we don't know the future. We are not sure. We can't tell you exactly what the future will look like. But we are confident that the way we're training our student would be able to facilitate them to be able to negotiate that future. So that's a key thing that has came out from that 3 years of attempt of trying to understand the technological interruption to the future legal tradition. So nobody can tell you what the future will look like. If someone tells you that, oh, tomorrow will be look like this, lawyers will be like that, then I don't think you have a full reason to trust. But we know what are the key things that our student will need to learn to be able to negotiate their own future. Preparing for your future. One of the important things that we've learned, not only from that 3 years of Future Legal Professional series, also from every year's activities that my dean and myself has been doing, that is to talk to the industry, talk to the law firms, talk to the company's in-house counsel, in-house department. Every time when we had opportunity to talk to the law firms and in-house department, we always ask a same question. So this is a question that every time we talk to the practicing lawyer, we ask them. The question is, what type of quality you want to see from our law graduate? I think this will be very relevant to you, to every individual of you at this stage, because as Siti explained, you are all in your final year of your law study. Many of you would probably start to search for your first job or search for your first law job. Then you would naturally wanted to know what are the things that your potential employer will be looking at. On this slide, I've shared with you 4 top qualities that the law industry are looking at for graduate. And this is from the years of talking to the industry, law firms, and in-house counsel. This is the conclusion from them. As you would know, as things moving on, This list can be changed as well, but these are always the top quality that your potential employer would like to see from you. Let's go through this list very briefly. The first one is commercial mindset, commercial understanding. Why is that? In the olden days, lawyers don't need to know too much about commerce and business. Yes, they need to know some part of it, but that you wouldn't think that will be the top thing that your potential lawyer, your potential employer will be looking at, right? For me, I had a wrong understanding before. I always thought if it's a first job, the potential employer will be looking at your score, the marks you've got from your varied subject. But I was very wrong. You're probably wrong too if you're looking at this list, because the first quality that your potential employer is looking at is your commercial understanding. Then we ask a question, why the commercial mindset and the commercial understanding is so important for a young lawyer? Why is that? And they shared with you a lot of quite interesting things. I hope I can explain to you in such a short span of time. So basically, 80% of the legal industry income is coming from 20% of its clients. In the globalized world, the biggest clients for legal services is not individual. It's not that case of divorce. It's not that case of private dispute. It's not criminal either. The biggest income to the legal industry is through international business. I'll give you a quick example. In Malaysia, for example, if you have a very big international multinational company, they would naturally work with a top-tier Malaysian-based law firm as partner. They will give all its law-related dispute or contract drafting or anything to that law firm. But when this Malaysian company has developed into a globalized company, international company, they will probably want to set up a branch in Sydney. They will probably want to set up the branch in Tokyo. They will probably want to set up another branch in New York. In that case, would the Malaysian company go and search for Sydney-based law firm to work with, and then go and search for Tokyo-based law firm to work with, and then go and search for another New York-based law firm to work with? No, they don't normally do that, because the relationship between the law firm and its clients are based on trust and confidence. And they have to have long relationship to build that relationship. So more likely, the Malaysian company would use a big Malaysian law firm which already have office in Sydney, already have its office in Tokyo, and have its office in New York. That's what we call a top-tier international law firm. And the purpose of having top-tier international law firm is to provide services to international company for international trade and business. And those business and trade, those are the largest clients that will bring in 80% of the industry income. That's why for a law graduate, if you understand business, of course you don't need to be an expert. If you understand business, you will have a better chance getting into the top tier international law firm, because that is one of the important things that they're looking at for its job applicant to serve its clients. The second one, the second quality that the employer is looking at is the experience in collaborative and teamwork. Nowadays, as you would know, that being as part of the team is certainly not the same as being one individual person. A lot more things that you will need to be mindful to be able to work as a member of the team or as a leader of the team. But in reality, because the business that requires legal services tends to be larger business, as I explained. So it is very rare to see a single person can deal with a lot of significant business-related legal services. It is always a team who's looking after major clients. So for you to have a better chance to find a job in a top-tier law firm, you will need to demonstrate your ability to work as part of the team as well as to lead the team. So collaborating and teamwork is another important quality that your potential employer is looking for. International experience is the third one. International experience become particularly important in the globalized world for exactly the same reason as why you need to have teamwork experience and why you need to have a commercial mindset. Because everything now is globalized, the fact that I'm talking to you on Zoom is not imaginable 10 years ago. I will need to buy a flight ticket. I will need to fly 10 hours or so from Sydney to Malaysia. I'll probably need to arrive the day before, to have a good rest before I can start my communication with a group of people that we've never met before. But now it's all different. You are having international experience. I am here having my international experience as well. So I start to understand what the student in UiTM would probably benefit from. And you start to understand what this woman from Australia is here to talking to me about. So international experience is crucial for your ability to find a position in an international top-tier law firm. How do you have that international experience? Siti has demonstrated to you having me in your class. And there are a lot of other things that you can do. Even a short trip to a different country would provide you with not only international experience, seeing how other people will live and think and work, it will also develop you the capacity to be independent. I don't know how many of you have had the chance to come to Australia. If you do, then you would understand the culture in Australia is so different to your own culture. The way that people work, the way that people talk, even though we're all speaking in English, we have totally different accent. And sometimes we even have different understanding for the same word or in English. So that's how having an experience will help you to understand the whole world better. It also helps you to be resilient. If you ever come to a different country by yourself, you would be familiar with that feeling of not 100% sure about what's going to happen, because that's not your own country. That's not your own cultural background. That's not probably even your language. So being in that environment will make you strong. And that is what we call resilient. Once you develop your resilience, you are in a better position to deal with risks and challenges ahead of you, and you becoming stronger. So those are the 4 things that we've discovered from the potential employer that they want to look at from the current graduate. For UTS Law Faculty, how would we translate everything we know so far into our own teaching and learning? We have set up a lot of opportunities for our own students to experience the real world. We have our internship program internationally and domestically. We have our legal training program by putting students into law firms for them to study and learn as they go. And we have exchange program, we have study abroad program. We've set up a lot of programs for our own students to be able to have that international perspective. On this slides, I've shared with you some of our internship partners in this region. So we have Health Justice Australia. We're sending our student there as part of an elective class. We have Dental King and Wood and Madison. Those are the top tier law firms. And we have those law firms in Australia, in China, in Japan, and we're sending our student over there. We have Birkin IP in Argentina. It's an IP law firm. Our students are taking internship work in Argentina. So it's normally done as a 4 weeks program, and we're helping our student, we're paying our student a travel grant for them to travel to those countries and stay with our internship partner for 4 weeks. And students are taking it as one of their elective subjects. And we have TikTok. Is TikTok something available in Malaysia?
Yes, it is.
All right. So we're sending our student to TikTok for them to understand how global business can be done and what's the role of its in-house legal team. So all these opportunities are the opportunities for our local student to be able to have real life experience. And we believe these opportunities has contribute very much to the future career. Every year in Australia, the Australian government have a graduate survey, and that's survey done by the Australian government. The government simply asks the graduate 2 questions, just 2 questions. The first question is, did you have a full-time job within 4 months after you graduated? The second question is, how much is your salary of your first job? So these questions, this survey is done by the government to every single university and every single discipline. So I've quoted you the last available result of the graduate survey. As you can see, 79% of our postgraduate students have had a full-time job within 4 months after they graduated from their degree with us. And the average income is 80,000 Australian dollars. I'm not sure what's the exchange rate between Australian currency and the Malaysia currency. Siti, do you have an idea what's the exchange rate?
Let me check first. Exchange rate.
Yeah, that's all right. So I just let you know, 80,000 Australian dollars is very high for a first job in Australia. In Australia, the average income, that means, you know, they count in the person who's got a job as first day and the person who's near retirement. So for the entire labor force, the average income in Australia is about $45,000. The law graduate, their first job is, you know, $80,000, which is quite high. We believe one of the reasons why law student and law degree tends to be a degree that pays back the student very well is because we have all these practical element. all this real world experience has already built in as part of the study. So there is less transition or no transition between study and work. In my opinion, that's very important point for the graduate to understand and to be able to grasp the opportunity to practice that.
Grace, the currency now is Australian dollar $1, and then Malaysia is 2.99. It's slightly higher for Malaysia because previously when I was in Sydney last year, remember it was 2.8. Now it's 2.99, is slightly higher.
Okay, so if that's the case, then the average income, the average income of our graduate, 80,000 Australian would be 240,000 Malaysian
per year.
Right? So 240,000 Malaysian every year. Is that a relatively reasonable income?
Because in Malaysia, in average, the income for the young lawyers is around 3,000 ringgit per month. 3,000 ringgit per month means
36,000 per year.
3,000, around $1,000 per month, 12,000. 5,000
yes.
USD. Australian dollar.
That's right. So as you can see, it is quite a big difference, right? All right. So that's how our understanding of legal professional, and that's how we helped our students to be able to make sure they have enough plenty opportunity built in as part of their courses to bridge their study and their future career. Now, Siti wanted me to explain how to become a practicing lawyer in Australia. So for anyone to become a practicing lawyer in Australia, they will need to have three things, only three things. One is they will have to have a relevant law degree. For Australian students, they will either have a Bachelor of Law degree or Juris Doctor degree. Only these two law degrees would make admission into legal practice possible. Secondly, they will have to have practical legal training. Practical legal training is a separate component to their degree study. In Sydney, UTS has been the only university who provided practical legal training until last year. So before last year, UTS has always been the only university who provided practical legal training courses. And this course is about 3 to 6 months time, 3 to 6 months long. In the practical legal training course, students typically study 3 subjects. Those are the advocacy, court practice, and ethics. And then student will be required to do 75 days of work placement. That means student will need to go into a law firm and work as PLT student for a minimum of 75 days. So if you have a law degree, if you complete a practical legal training course, and if you practice in a law firm for 75 days, if you can have these 3 conditions met, you would be able to apply to become a practicing solicitor in New South Wales, in Australia. There is no exam that you need to sit for. There is no bar exam for solicitor in New South Wales. So it's just these 3 requirements: law degree, practical legal training, and 75 days of work placement. If you have had that, then you're all set to apply for admission into practicing solicitor in Australia. Last thing that I want to share with you is totally different to what I've already said, because Siti really want to want me to explain to you what the insolvency system in Australia would be about. So this is about something a bit more academically focused. So here in Australia, or actually before I start these, I'll just pause the sharing, and I just want to ask if anybody have any questions in regarding to what I've said just now. Anything at all? Yes.
No, madam.
Hello.
No.
Hello, who is that? Can you introduce yourself? Jana, you want to answer,
Sorry,
Jana?
there's no question from me.
Yes, go ahead.
Anyone want to ask a question?
Regarding the
Can you on
regarding
your
the
video? Who is this? Can you introduce yourself and on your video?
It's
Is it?
Nadia, isn't it?
Nadia? Is this Nadia?
sorry, madam, my line is quite slow.
Nadia Husni, right? Oh, you cannot on
Yes.
your video. Grace.
No,
Grace,
madam, because my line is slow.
okay, it's okay. Grace, this is our challenges in Malaysia because the line is not stable. The internet
Right.
connections.
That's okay, no problem.
Okay, so Nadia will ask
what's
you a
the
question. Nadia will ask
Nadia,
you a
what's
question.
the question?
We lost Nadia already. We lost her. The line is not stable. Muhaimin, do you have questions?
Yes,
Muhaimin?
madam.
Okay, you can ask question to Dr. Grace.
Good morning, doctor. My name is Mohaimin.
Muhaimin, can
Nice
you
to
on?
meet you.
Muhaimin, we can see Muhaimin here.
Yeah.
Good morning, doctor. I have a question in regards to your take on the future of legal profession. So you say that we need to have 4 things: commercial acumen, experience in collaborative teamwork, international experience, and also resilience. So one of the things that we learned in the past few years is Industrial Revolution 4.0, that we are exposed by that. Instead of just having a law degree, we also need to learn new things by ourselves, because during IR 4.0, we just need not to know legal knowledge, but we also need to learn other knowledge as well. Because in IR 4.0, we are exposed by things that we haven't met during our university years. So my question is, what are the other knowledge, despite legal knowledge, that legal students need to know? What are the essential knowledge? For example, that we know from social media and also from previous articles, academic articles, one of the essential knowledge that any graduates need to learn is big data analysis, for example. So should we, as legal students, just by having legal knowledge, need to learn those essential knowledge in order to make a good graduate after we graduate from our professional study? Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a very good question. So basically, the question is about what, in addition to the legal knowledge, what are the things that will help us to be successful? The answer can be very personal, actually. I've explained business is one of the most popular required knowledge paired with legal knowledge. That's why in Australia, sorry that I don't know too much about Malaysian legal education, but in Australia, most of the major law schools would have double degree, business and law. And that has been the most popular choice of our student in the undergraduate. So it's double Bachelor of Business and a Bachelor of Law degree. That has been the most popular program for the Australian student. However, there are quite a number of students, they're not too much in business, but they like internet technology, information technology. So we are the first law school in Australia developed the battle floor with IT as major. So law and IT has been a very trendy choice, popular choice for Australian students as well. So if you are interested in IT, law and IT would certainly be the way to go. Then you will be learning all these, big data, clouds, disputes and everything and anything, which is quite different to what you would learn in business and law. In fact, this is, as I said, this is very personal choice. We see law and the journalism has been popular for our students as well. So media and journalism paired with law degree. That is another popular choice for our student. As you may not know, there is an emerging discipline. It's called law and design, or the legal design. So in that discipline, we see more and more students choose to study how and what is the best way to design the law to suit every business needs. So people will need to develop the understanding of design and their legal knowledge to be able to work as legal designer. There are so many different fields that can be paired with law. Law and science is another very popular option for a student. Things like forensic science, the dead body, crime scene investigation, all these are forensic science. So law and forensic science is a very natural combination. So you name it, law can be paired with a wide range of other disciplines to achieve what that person is particularly interested. Nowadays, we even have a subcategory of fashion law, music law, entertainment law. Think about what are the knowledge that might help you to become a fashion professional legal practitioner. We see our graduate and straight into the fashion industry. And that student came back a few years and started a fashion designer. But she's not particularly in fashion designing, but she found that it is helpful for her to have that understanding of fashion designer to be able to, clap the ladder in the fashion law in her own practical area. So back to the actual question, what are the knowledge that one will need to learn in addition to the solid legal knowledge? There could be many answers, but again, the most popular ones are business and information technology. But they are, depend on what you want. In ETS, we do have another program called international study. That is to send a student to a particular country to study for one entire year. So we have a lot of law students also choose international study as the double degree program as well. So we see a lot of students, in fact, they choose to do the international study year in Malaysia. I would assume that those students will graduate to become a lawyer, but specialized in Malaysian-related business transaction. And we see students, they choose to go to Copenhagen. We see many students choose to go to Copenhagen. Maybe the student would be very interested in the European law. You know what I mean? So it's really depending on where is your interest, what you will be willing to have a career onto, then to combine the second area of study with your law study. Did I answer your question, Mohammed?
Yes, Doctor. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Nadia, you want to ask question, Nadia? Nadia is here already. Nadia,
It's okay. Yes.
you want
Hello.
Hi. Assalamualaikum. A very good morning to everyone. Hi, Dr. Grace. It was such a good talk. Good exposure for the students. Question. I don't have a question because I was enjoying to listen to you and Mohammed asking questions, and it was a very good session. So no question, but great feedback. Thank you so much for being with us and talking to the
Thank you,
students.
Nadia.
All right.
Thank you, Nadia, and thank you for coming along. All right. I'll
Okay.
probably
any
move
more
on.
question from the students? With regards to, because we have a different system on the admission to the bar, okay, as compared to Australia, because what we have is either a professional years at the university for 4 years, or student can also take, especially student from private university, they only have 3 years. So another 1 year of professional years, they have to sit for CLP. These are a professional exam, so it's 1 year, and it's very difficult for them to get through the system. And also students who are graduating from overseas, they also need to take this 1 year professional practice in Malaysia. Apart from that, students who are studying in UK, they will have to undergo the BT bar practice training course, BTC, in UK, and then they will get admission to the bar in UK, so they will also admitted in Malaysia. But after that, even though they finish the professional year, be it in public university or for the CLP, they still need to undergo for 1 year practical is like training, in-house training for 9 months. We call it pupillage or called chambering. They will be assigned under a senior lawyer in the particular firm. So the student need to undergo this, but there is no exam for this. It's only ethics assessments. So the exam is only in the university for their professional years. Like my student now, they will have to undergo final exam, final assessment before they graduate. As for the CLP, they also need to sit for the special exam before they can proceed with the chambering period. So this chambering period, no more exam for the chambering. What they need to do is, they just complete the 9 months period. So this is very different in Australia, because in Australia you have a common bar, right? Common exam.
In Australia, the situation is quite different, because with our student, there is no need to sit for any bar exam if student wanted to become a practicing solicitor. There is no need to sit for any bar exam. All they needed is a relevant law degree, completion of practical legal training, and 75 days of work practice in a law firm. And especially for student coming into Australia as international student who come from a common law jurisdiction like Malaysia, if your graduate city would like to practice in New South Wales is one of the states in Australia. Sydney is the capital city of New South Wales. So if your student want to practice in Australia in New South Wales, if they have a Bachelor of Law degree from University, they only need to study 1 or 2 subjects, and then they will study the practical legal training and plus 75 days of work experience. Then they can apply for the admission into legal practice. There is no exam.
So that means our students, okay, once they graduate from our university, they can go to Australia and enroll in your university for 1 subject online. Then they can be called to the bar. Is that right?
if for UiTM student, your own student, if they completed your Bachelor of Law degree, they can take the Bachelor of Law degree, come back to us, and because the meeting authority is not university, is a place called Legal Practitioners Admission Board, LPAB. They will take their Malaysian law degree to LPAB for LPAB to assess their degree. According to LPAB's Overseas Qualification Assessment Guideline, a bachelor degree in Malaysia, if LPAB assess it, they will require Malaysian student to study constitutional law in Australia. That's a subject that your student will need to study. After your student studied the constitutional law in Australia, your student will need to do the practical legal training. That's the second thing. So practical legal training is a 3 months to 6 months course. And then your student will need to do 75 days of work placement practice. Because Malaysia is a common law country, your student don't need to complete all 75 days in Sydney. They only need to do a minimum of 25 days in Sydney. If they choose to practice the rest of the 75 days, which is 50 days in Malaysia, which is allowed because Malaysia is a common law jurisdiction. We share the same common law tradition. So put it simply, if your graduate of Bachelor of Law wanted to practice in Australia, they need to come here to study constitutional law. They need to study practical legal training, and they will need to have 75 days of work placement practice, including at least 25 days in Australia. Does that make sense, Siti?
So for them to study the constitutional law and also the legal practice, how long does it take? The constitutional law.
Constitutional law is one subject, and we run constitutional law every semester. Our semester is 13 weeks long. So every week, student will have 3-hour class for 13 weeks to complete a constitutional law. Practical legal training is a 3 months to 6 months course because some students choose to do it face-to-face, some students choose to do it online. And also, student will need to do 75 days within that practical legal training period. So some students, it takes them longer to get that 75 days. Some student will get it straight away. Some student will get it longer. Some student will do all 75 days in Australia. Some student only do 25 days in Australia and the rest of 50 days in Malaysia. So we only gave a range of 3 to 6 months. We can't tell you how long does it take. But in general, if students do it quickly enough, they can finish everything within 3 months. So one subject, 13 weeks, plus 3 months PLT, including 75 days practice. That's all your student needed to apply for admission.
So the class for constitutional law must be face-to-face or online. So that means the student need to be there.
It doesn't matter currently because of the coronavirus pandemic now, all our classes are online. But ideally, we would like students to come face-to-face because eventually the 25 days legal practice will need to be done in Australia. So for you student who's interested to apply for legal admission, they can start online constitutional law in Malaysia. And then when it gets to legal practice, the coronavirus pandemic might be over by then, they can come and just do the 25 days of practice.
So that means
Can be done as
oh, so
well.
that means they have to be only 25 days in Australia to complete the legal practice. And then this is only is sufficient for the visa, right? The visa is 6 months. You are allowed for.
The visa will be 1 year. The
1 year.
practical legal training course, once your student is offered with practical legal training course, student is eligible to apply for 1 year visa.
Okay, that is very interesting, Grace. Any question from the students? Students?
All right, there is no. It's Nadia has always been called. Poor Nadia.
No, it's
You want to
fine.
Hello? Any
Hello?
question?
Yes.
Any question from the students?
I think it was very clear. Honestly, I was very clear explanation, and you shared about the opportunities for the students to go to Australia and to work there. That's amazing. I mean, I would be inspired to if I were a student, a law student. Right. Thank you. Thank you.
No problem. It's actually quite interesting because Malaysia and Australia, we share the same legal tradition. That's why it is so easy for Malaysian students to come here, do a bit of additional study, and to apply to be admitted into legal practice. For example, Hong Kong and Australia, we share the same legal tradition as well. So for Hong Kong, Bachelor of Law student graduate, they will just come and do a small study and then apply for admission. Same with international student coming to us from the UK. So there is no additional bar exams needed for admission into solicitor in Australia. So this is quite different to the USA. This is quite different to the UK in terms of the way that graduate can get into the legal practice. It's quite different. However, I'll just give you some comparison. If a student coming, international student coming to us from China, then student will need to do a 3-year study, Juris Doctor study, to be able to even study the practical legal training and then apply for admission. Why is that? It's because the Chinese legal system is totally different to Australian legal system. So the student who has a Bachelor of Law in China doesn't mean the student understand a lot of things in Australia. That's why the student will need to study the entire degree all over again, not all over again, from scratch. Whereas in Malaysia, because we're sharing a lot of similarities in our legal tradition, that's why the LPAB doesn't require a student coming from Malaysia to restudy the things they already know. So it's quite lucky in a way.
That's amazing. That's amazing to know.
Thank you. I think Nuro might have a question. Nuro, do you have a question?
Hi, Dr. Grace. I'm Nur Jannah from UiTM, one of the lecturers. So thank you for your sharing. However, at the moment, I don't have any questions regarding this matter. But I think I do have one question. I don't know if this question is quite relevant with our topics. That okay with you? Hi, Dr. Grace.
Yes. I can hear you. Do you have a question or not?
Yeah. My question would be, how do you actually encourage your students to actually actively participating in online discussion?
All right. Yeah, your question is quite important. Your question is quite important question because as the coronavirus pandemic is going, all our classes are online. So making sure student participating online activity is very important for any educator, including us. We have tried very hard in our online teaching to encourage our student participation. We're quite lucky that we started our online teaching for a long time. Way before the coronavirus, we've trialed our online teaching. In fact, one of our most popular postgraduate program called Master of Intellectual Property program has been having online teaching for all the subject for 8-10 years already. And Master of IP, that's the purely online program, is the single largest program in terms of student participation in Australia. So we have quite a bit of experience of encouraging students participating online. We have a very good online platform. We have Canvas online platform. And on that online platform, we run a lot of student forums, discussion board. Some of our teachers also run learning games, like what I will demonstrate with you in a minute. And we run a lot of online activity, online teamworks, online presentation. So our students are sort of used to the online way of learning because although we didn't have everything online before the coronavirus, but we have already had a lot of subject online. So that hasn't been quite a challenging for our law school because of our experience and because of our learning platform. So the learning platform is actually quite important. In that learning platform, on that learning platform, activities like forum, like discussion board, like multiple choice questions, settings, and etc. It's already available there. So it's quite easy for our academic to sort of convert everything online. But having said that, I think communication is done in a different way. For example, we now have so many students all together here, but the feeling of meeting with them face to face is quite different with meeting with them online, because all I can see from my screen are mostly squares, black with names that I don't know. So
yeah, that's true.
that's right. So I think it'll get better as students are developing their mind of not discriminating online study. Because a lot of students were just saying, especially international students, they don't have a lot of experience learning online. They would just say, you know, the quality might not be the same as face-to-face. In fact, the quality of online can be very similar to face-to-face, but they will just have to have that mindset first. If they've already set the mind by thinking that online is bad, they will never feel that online is okay. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. It's all about the mindset, right?
That's
Setting the
right.
mindset first.
So hopefully a bit later today, I can do a small online game with you, a Kahoot game. I'll see how it goes, okay?
All right, sure. Thank you, Dr. Grace.
Thank you, Nurul. So Siti, shall I go straight into insolvency?
Yes, a very brief. Okay, please, Dr. Grace.
Yes, I'll do it very, very briefly. All right, now I'm sharing my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, yes.
Yes, we
Grace.
can.
Yes,
Oh, good.
doctor.
Thank you. In Australia, when companies are facing financial difficulties, they will need to consider a way to help the company to recover. The ways that they normally consider are called external administration. External administration is not a particular method. It is a general name for 4 different methods in Australia. Put it simply, on my screen, these are the 4 bullet points that Australian company will normally consider when the company is facing financial difficulty. These are receivership, winding up, voluntary administration, and scheme of arrangement. And the second one, winding up, is where insolvency will come into the play. But I will give you a very quick rundown of all of them so you have a brief understanding of what companies' options are when there is a financial challenges that they're facing. So I'll start with a very simple one called receivership. In receivership, a person, an external person called a receiver, is brought into the company to look after the secured creditor, the secured asset. I hope you understand the notion of secured creditor. Those are the people who lend the money to the company with a security. The security can be a car, can be a house, can be a real property, can be inventory, it can be a lot of things. So receiver is a person either appointed by the court or appointed by the secured creditor, normally a bank, to look after the secured property of the company. Basically, if it is an office of the company, the secured creditor will make sure the company's office is not sold without the creditor knowing it. Once the office is sold, the creditor will get the money back as part of the debt payment. So that's a very simple way when company is facing difficulty. The second, which is the most used way, is called winding up, or sometimes we call it liquidation. It's the same thing. So with winding up, there are different ways of winding up. One way is wound up by the court. In what situation court will order the company to wind up? The very common ground for winding up is insolvency. That is what Siti suggests me to explain to you. What is insolvency? In Australia, insolvency is inability to pay all the personal debts, all the person's debts, as when the debts become due and payable. So it's due when the debts are due and payable, and company cannot pay for the debt, company will go in insolvency. Once insolvency occur, then the court will order the company to be liquidated, to be wound up. So that is the most common reason for companies winding up. Court can also order the company to wind up on other basis. For example, when courts feel it's just and reasonable to order the company to wind up, even company is not insolvent, even when the company is solvent, court will still able to wind up the company. The other way of winding up is the members of the company, those are the shareholders of the company, they can wind up the company voluntarily. So even when company is going okay, even company is solvent, company can be wound up by its shareholders voluntarily. The third one is called voluntary administration. Most of the time, we call this method VA, voluntary administration. VA is a temporary measure for company to make sure its ability to pay its debt. So the voluntary administration started from the appointment of the administrator. Administrator is an external person to the company. They will be appointed as the company administrator, and they will be confirmed in the first meeting. The first meeting will be held between the company and its creditors. The voluntary administrator, the appointment will be confirmed in the first meeting. The administrator will then go ahead, study the company's debt, work out the difficulty, and trying to search way to help the company to conquer the financial challenges. Then it gets to the second meeting. The second meeting is where the voluntary administrator report back to the company by saying, all right, I think there is a way that the company can trade out of difficulty. Or by saying that the company is so badly in debt, there is no way out. Let's just wind up the company. Or the voluntary administrator can say, it's a small problem. Yes, we have some cash flow difficulty, but it's okay, not a big deal. Then the voluntary administrator can return the company back to its CEO, directors, and etc., etc. So there could be different scenario in the second meeting, depend on what the finding of voluntary administrator is. So after the second meeting, the voluntary administration process will end. Then the company will either be handed back to the company's board of directors, or they will go into liquidation or other arrangement. So voluntary administration is quite a short process. It's about a month long. It's quite short, but it helped the company. It gave company a breathing space to really step back and check the debt to make sure whether or not company can pay for its debt, trade out of difficulty. The last one is called the scheme of arrangement. Scheme of arrangement is not as popular as all other three external administration process. This is probably the least used process. In this process, company will apply to the court to start using scheme of arrangement and then to negotiate it with all creditors of the company, one by one. It's quite time consuming, and it also needs twice court approval, because once the company complete a negotiation with its creditors, they will need to bring the solutions to the court for the second approval. The entire process is very costly, very expensive, and is quite very time consuming. But the good part of that is because companies negotiating with individual creditor, so the company solution, the solution of the difficulty might be more flexible. And there is no external, there is not one single external person involved and took over the company in that process either. So this is a one-on-one negotiation, time consuming, but flexible. However, it needs twice court approval. That's why it has been a least used external administration process in Australia. So this is what I'm going to explain to you, because I only have quite a, not so much time to go. I'll just end here. Again, I'll just stop my sharing first. Can I ask, anybody have any question at this point?
Grace, hello? Any
Yes.
questions?
Yeah. My name is Mutakin. Sorry
Pardon?
for
Your name?
my
Can you
video.
on your video?
Mutakin.
Can you
Unable to open the video, Doctor. Sorry, because my internet is quite slow.
Okay.
So, what is the difference between the winding up company and the voluntary? Is it the voluntary administration is using the third party? Because it's in the end there is either option whether to hand it back the company or to winding up the company, right? Doctor. So for my question is it the same? Is it for voluntary administration is only subjected to the company winding up, or can be subject also to the individual bankruptcy?
With voluntary administration, the outcome of the voluntary administration can be three things. One, gave the company back to the board of directors when the financial difficulty can be overcome. So if there is not a big deal of the financial difficulty, just a small thing, the company can be handed over back to the company directors. The second possible outcome is when the administrator study the company and conclude that the difficulty is just too great. The company is already in so much debt, it's insolvent. There is no hope of the company. Then they will end up insolvency winding up. 3, if the administrator study the company and discovered that, yes, there are some problems with the company. The problems are significant. However, there can be ways to save the company. For example, renegotiation of the debt payment, extending of the deadline of paying the debt. So if the administrator conclude by saying that, let's try all these different ways to save the company, then it can be up to the negotiation, what are the things can be done. So this doesn't need to be, company doesn't need to be handed back to the board of directors, but the company doesn't need to go into the liquidation straight away. They can try, for example, the banks can appoint special directors onto the board to monitor the board operation as part of saving the company's strategy. So there could be 3 different outcomes. Only one of them is the insolvency winding up. Did I answer your question, Mata Queen?
Yes, Doctor, thank you.
Thanks.
Any more questions? Any other question from student? Atif? Atif, do you have a
Yes,
question?
yeah.
Good morning, Dr. Grace.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's okay. Atif, you go first.
Hello. Dr. Grace, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Atif. I can hear you. I can hear you, Atif.
Atif?
Yeah, sorry. I'm having a lack of connection here. But can you hear?
Okay.
Can you?
Okay, proceed with the question, Atif. Okay, we can hear you.
Dr. Grace, I'm just curious. What's your view in insolvency case? You know, due to the pandemic that we're having here, would you believe, or what's your opinion, that there will be an increase of insolvency cases from the creditor to the debtor? You know, because of the increase of unemployment due to the pandemic.
It's a good question. And this question has been asked worldwide, not only in Malaysia. In other places, probably the situation is worse in Malaysia, a lot more. So I think personally, I hope this won't happen, but let's to be honest, I think there would be business closures as a result of the pandemic. That's why different governments throughout the world are trying all they can to save business. In Australia, for example, the government are setting out new policies to help small to medium business to continue operating during the pandemic and the post-pandemic. Government are spending so much money. We're talking about billions and 10 billions to give to the small to medium companies. That's because in Australia, most of the business are small to medium sized business. On the other end of the spectrum, we have big business that are also facing great difficulties. For example, airlines, Qantas, they have stepped down hundreds of its employers due to the pandemic not being able to fly. And we have Virgin Airline that has been already putting into external administration. Virgin is a big airline that has already been putting into external administration. So all these are indicating to us that the economic impact of the pandemic has gone that far that even impact upon the number of insolvency cases. It might be a good news for us because we are lawyers. They will need someone like us to carry on insolvency and decision making, etc., etc. But at the end of the day, it is a cost of the pandemic, and that's the challenge that the entire human race need to live through.
So you suggest to us that we, as a future lawyer, to pursue our profession, particularly in insolvency, as there will be a risk in insolvency cases.
I think that's true in the next 5 years. And insolvency is always a quite specific area of law that people practice in, and it hasn't hasn't been a big boom because of the economy has been strong in the past. But I mean, during the pandemic and as post-pandemic era, I believe the number of services will increase in this particular area of law.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Grace.
Thank you. Sabrina, I think you had a question, Sabrina.
Yes, Dr. Grace. Good morning. My name is Sabrina.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Okay. My question is almost similar like Atif's question, but specifically on the legal fraternity. Due to this pandemic, like, what is the rate of employment for legal firms in Australia? Because currently in Malaysia, based on the statistic, majority of the law firms are shutting down, and most of them will stop recruiting new people into the company due to the financial crisis they suffer during this pandemic. So I would like to know on the rate of employment in Australia for the legal firms.
It's a good question, but I can't tell you out of my head right now what is the rate of hiring in the legal industry. But I know from so many friends working in the industry that yes, it is probably not too much different from Malaysia. Law firms are facing difficulties. That's because its major clients, which is the business, are facing difficulty. If business all shut it down, then the service needs for law is just decreased. That's it. So there are a lot of traditional law firms, especially, are having a smaller scale of operation comparing to the standard operation. That's because they lost some of their clients, and some of their major clients have scaled down in the business operation as well. Having said that, there are new emerging law firms that has actually increased its hiring. For example, Amazon, I know that they have increased 30% of its hiring position for the dispute resolution team, because Amazon's dispute resolution teams are working purely online. So this is quite an interesting time watching the industry movement. So if you are not in the new way of working, then probably try different industry, cross different industry to search for jobs rather than just focusing on the traditional law firm's position. As I said, traditional law firm, yes, the hiring decreased, but other new way of working, they have increased in their hiring. Hope that'll help you, Sabrina.
Okay, very clear, Dr. Grace. Thank you so much.
Any more questions? Grace, it means that we need the technology, we need the online knowledge so that we can survive in the new normal era, isn't it?
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. And we will need,
that's...
I think more importantly, I think we'll need to have the understanding of lifelong learning. There is no end for our learning. This year I'm 46 years old. I'm still learning quite a lot, even from my...
Really? I thought you were 30 something, Grace.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm learning every day, even from my 12 years old boy. My son, he can code his own game, and I have no understanding what are the codings about. He always laugh at me, but I'm learning slowly. So I think the mindset of lifelong learning is actually more important than what you've learned. Because, I was in university in 1994. The law in 1994 is no longer here in 2020. Everything's changed. What hasn't changed? It's a skill. It's a confidence of being able to learn. I was a good student back in 1994. I'm a good student in my 40s, although it took me longer to learn coding, but I have some small progress. At least I understand what my son's doing in front of the computer every day now. My daughter is learning Japanese. I started learning Japanese on the same day with my daughter, but now my daughter is very fluent. I can only say a few words because, you know, as we go older, the memory is not as sharp as the younger kids, but I'm happy to continue. I'm willing to continue. I think the mindset is more important than what you actually learned, because as we move, things are changing. You know, you have to be adaptable to the new world. With the pandemic, before the pandemic, I didn't know how to use Zoom. And now I'm an expert of using Zoom. It's the same thing here for everybody. So I think the mindset is more important than the actual thing.
Thank you, Grace. It's very interesting. So student, any questions for Grace before we can proceed with the games? Because the student have class at 10 o'clock.
All right.
They have another class.
Hello, good morning, Madam Dr. Grace. My
Good
name is
morning.
Fairoz here. I would like to ask, is an Australian law impose certain threshold value in order for a person or company to be subjected to insolvency? Because with regards to Malaysia, our law has been amended to increase the amount of threshold, because the rate of insolvency here is quite high. So compared to the situation in Australia, how is it? Thank you, Dr. Grace.
Thank you. In Australia, there is no set amount threshold in insolvency. As I shared my screen with you a minute ago, the only criteria for assessing insolvency is that statement, that one sentence, which is when the debts are due and payable. Then if company cannot pay it, when the debts due and payable, then company is insolvent. There is no figure amount as a threshold. It's just that when the debts is due and payable, company cannot pay it, then it's insolvent. That's all. So this is slightly different with what Malaysia is having, I guess.
Thank you, Dr. Grace.
No problem. So shall we move into the game?
Yes, Grace. We can
proceed
with the game.
Thank
okay,
you.
Student, are you ready for the game?
Yes,
Are we
Yes,
ready?
we're ready.
Ready for the game.
My
Okay.
screen? Can you see my screen, everybody? If you
Yes.
can,
Yes,
go
Doctor.
into
Yes, we can
the
see.
hyperlink, https://kahoot.it. Go into that hyperlink now, and you can see it shows like Kahoot and game pin and enter. Let me know if you're already there. Are you already there?
Yes, doctor.
Good.
Yes.
All right, I have 5 questions for you. I have 5 questions for you, and the top 3 students will get a little gift from the law faculty. We'll post it to you, okay? Can you see the game pin? Type in this game pin, 9446623. Can you see it? And then put your name and enter the game. Great. If you look at my screen, you can see your names are popping up. I have 10 players.
We can only see on your screen the game pin and enter. We cannot see the names popping out, Doctor.
I can.
Can I have the pin number again?
9446623.
944. Okay.
9446623. Can you see your name now?
Yeah. Thank you.
I have 18 players, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, Excellent. Siti, how many students in total we have today? Are we all in? Are we all in now? Okay, let's start it. You need to click the colors on your device. What is the full name of UTS? You need to be quick. I said this question for 10 seconds. You need to be very quick, okay? So we've got only one person right. Let's see who is that person. Kasha. Well done, Kasha. Are we ready for the next question?
Student, are you ready with the next question?
Yes, madam.
We've only got one student right this time. We've only got one student right, but I can see we have a lot more students able to put in an answer. Let's see who got it right. That's Faris. Faris got it right. Excellent. We have 3 more questions to go, okay? Are we ready for the next question?
Grace, the student cannot see the answer actually in the Kahoot.
They don't need to see the answer. They see my screen. The answers are on my screen.
Okay.
Yes.
They can only see the colors. Does it make sense? Does it make sense?
The list of answers
But
on your
we cannot see the question, doctor.
The question is on my screen.
Oh, we
You
can't
will
see.
need to.
The screen is not moving.
Yeah.
My screen is not moving. Oh, it's moving on my end. Let's try one more, okay? Let's try one more. My screen is moving on my end. Can you see the screen?
The screen is still
on the main page.
On the main page. We cannot see the questions.
Oh. All right. Okay, let me reshare my screen. Give me 1 second. Okay, let me try again. Can you see it?
Yes, we can see it now.
Oh, good. Then you will need to get the new game pin now. Sorry, because I re-rendered, so you will need to log out and enter this new game pin. Can you see it?
Yes, Dr. Grace.
Yes, we can.
Great. Excellent. Okay, we've got 35 players. Siti, are we okay to go?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, We've got 35, okay? Oh, 36. All right, I can start now. Are we all able to see my screen?
Yes.
Doctor.
Excellent, I'll start. 5 questions, okay? The first 3 questions, 10 seconds each.
What is the UTS? Oh, don't know DTS. Transcendent technology. Taylor Swift. Technology Sydney.
Well done this time. 22 got it right.
Yes.
Well done. Next one.
Who is Dane?
Queensland. South Wales. Yes.
Excellent. 26 got it right. Let's see who are the top 3.
Yes.
Naimi, Dean, Ma. Excellent. Yes. Are we ready for the next question?
Yes, Doctor.
You know what? I wanted to know who chose the elephant and zebra. We're not in Africa. That's 36 got it right. Okay, the next 2 questions are 20 seconds each in terms of time. 20 seconds, okay? We have 2 more questions to go. Here we go. Well done, Nami. Uh-oh. Here we see 19 students got it right and 12 students choose relevant work experience. Remember I said you have to have 75 days work experience. So work experience is part of the requirement. In that 75 days, you will have to have 25 days in Australia, and you can have another 50 days in any other common law jurisdiction, such as Malaysia. So the green color is the right one. Last question. Are we ready?
Yes, doctor.
Nami is quite
Nami is the highest.
Well. Highest and always the highest. Let's go. Last question. I'll tell you, last question is something to do with insolvency. Very well done, very well done. Most of the students got it right, 30 got it right. Thank you for listening to what I said about it. Here we go. These are the 3 winners.
Wow, Naimi, Sharifah, and Muhaimin.
Excellent. Siti, can you do me a favor?
Okay.
Can you do me a favor?
Okay.
Can you send the post address of these 3 students to Isabel? She will organize a small gift to go out to these students.
Okay. Okay, sure.
Congratulations.
Congratulations to Sharifah, Naimi, and Muhaimin.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Very, very well done. Excellent.
They want to know what is the gift.
Yes,
What is
Dr.
the gift? I don't know. I will ask Isabel. I will ask Isabel what the gift would be.
Isabel is here, I think.
Is Isabel in here?
Yeah,
Isabel, what you plan to give as a gift?
Have to go back to the office to check, but probably the UTS Law branded USB.
All right, it could be a
Yes,
UTS Law brand USB.
So,
I don't know what else we have because I haven't been back to office for a long time.
Okay, so Isabel will post it to the students.
That's right. Isabel will post it to student, but Siti, you will need to send us the post address of your student, the winning student.
Sure. That's great. Okay, thank you so much, Grace.
Excellent. So that's all for me today, but I'm happy to be contacted. If you have any further questions, everybody, just feel free to contact me, okay?
Thank you so much, Grace, for your time. And I really appreciate it. And I hope the student can benefit from your sessions. And we hope that we can invite you in another time, perhaps next semester for another student. And student, do you have anything else to say to Grace?
Thank you, Dr. Grace, for your talk today. It gives very much benefit to us for us preparing for the our upcoming ventures in the legal practice, especially in Malaysia and also Australia.
Good luck.
Thank you, Dr. Grace.
Thank you, Dr. Grace.
I'm so happy to have you today.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming to my session.
Thank you, Dr. Grace.
Okay, Grace, perhaps before we end our sessions, we can actually take a group photo.
That's nice. So let's all show our faces, right?
But how to get Mutakin? How to get everyone in the? Okay. Kan ada yang betulkan tudung. So we have everyone in the screen. Mutakin, are you helping me?
Macam tak je, madam. Sebab ada the number of people in the screen is limited.
Okay, it's okay. Whoever in this screen, I
all
think.
the student.
Okay, I think
Ready?
maybe we can put another two students here
I don't think so
because we have yes, Aisha.
it depends
Aisha
on the
is here.
screen ratio. Yeah, okay.
Aisha.
3 more. It's
Maybe two more students.
yeah. Sure, madam.
Okay, Mutakin, you are handling this, right?
Yeah. I've
Maybe I
been
can
handling
close
this.
this one. Okay, we can get. Okay, Rahimi is here. Aisha. Two more students in the. Two more students? Naimi, the winner. Naimi, where are you?
That's
Naimi,
right.
please.
I want to meet Naimi.
Naimi, Dr. Grace want to meet you.
No, it's all right.
Muhaimin, we have Muhaimin here.
Sorry, madam, my camera is.
How about
no problem.
How about Shahira? I think Shahira is here. Okay, Mutakin, we can take the photo now.
We can take the picture right okay now. 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay. Already done.
Great. Siti, send the photo to me. It's interesting having a group photo here.
Yes. So say thank you to Dr. Grace, everyone. Say thank you to Dr. Grace.
Thank you.
Have a
great day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Doctor.
So thank you, student. Thank you, student, for joining us today. Please fill in the feedback form in the link. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you, madam. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, madam.
Bye.
Madam, bye.
Bye.